Right, now the i10's finished, I was going to crack on cleaning that unit ready for the rubbish collector tomorrow, but Pete's been in touch. He's going to be putting it off until Saturday, which works quite well for me because I can crack on with the Nissan Note. Now, a lot of you are going to be pleased to hear the Rattle Cans are back out. It's a nice warm day today, not too much wind. I had some of the right colour already from a previous one. I did this colour before. So, we're going to tackle this front wing. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape off the bumper. I was going to blend into the bumper, but the bumper's bang on. I'm going to tape here and do this repair and then see what the colour looks like, because this is ever so slightly different shade anyway, and we know the other wing, the other side is ever so slightly off. So I'll see how good the colour is and decide whether I want to blend into that front corner of the bumper or not, because at this stage normally bumpers are slightly different colour anyway. So try and restrict the amount of paint we do. Here I'm going to have to use a little bit of filler to level this off. I think it will sand out up here, but I think it's a low spot there. It's going to need a touch of filler there. I don't want to get that on the bumper or in this crease either, so I'll get tape in there and I'll at least do all that shaping first. So your first step is to sand back this paint. You want your filler taken to a keyed up surface, in an ideal world bare metal actually, but the paint's okay as long as you key it up first. So we're going to tape off this and make sure that we don't scratch up this corner of the bumper that we might not want to paint. Excuse my fingers, they're all covered in black because I've got to put gloves on again. I was finishing off the repair on the seat. Now I've overloaded I'm learning with this stuff, it's the first time I use it. I've kind of overloaded a bit I think on the old vinyl here. I put a bit too much on, so I've got it over and above, but I then covered it with some black balm afterwards, and certainly tidier than the big gloopy bit of vinyl on there. I did try, it said in the instructions to use a cloth and some rubbing alcohol to thin it down and level it off, but it didn't seem to have any impact at all when I did it. It was starting to actually discolour the old vinyl a little bit, so I stopped and thought leave it there. Sometimes you need to leave things alone. If that's the worst thing on this car when they come to look at it, with 32,000 miles, I think we'll be all right. And so many people have messaged me now and said you won't get one of those seats without cracking, like they're all cracked. So in fact I was told that when I sold it as well, so it seems everyone's on the same page on that front. So it doesn't look like anybody's going to go out and find one that hasn't got that cracking unless they're incredibly lucky. So let's focus on doing the only really bodywork blemish, which is that bit there, because other than that it's pretty mint. It's going to need a machine polish afterwards on the rest of it, but we'll see if I've still got any rattle can skills or not. It's been a while, hasn't it, guys? So you see I'm just using basic equipment here, just a little electric sander, that little one I was bought at Christmas by someone, with a 180 grit sanding pad on it. I've gone through and just you can see back here it doesn't need an awful lot, so I've not gone too crazy. I've only used 180, so we're going to put a bit of filler in here, try and level this off. That is bulged out there a little bit. The trick is to try and do this flat surface first before I try and start to deal with that. If I try and do that at the same time as that, I'll end up playing around with angles till the cows come home. So the first thing I'm going to do is just try and level off this flat area here first. Obviously, being as warm as it is, positive is this will go off quickly, negative is it will go off quickly. So we need to make sure you use less hardener on it, so we've got more time to play around with fiddling around with the sort of shaping of it. That went off even quicker than expected, hence it's slightly rough finish. I normally end up with a smoother finish than that, but it's already hardened straight off, so I can go even less hardener again now. I'll wait for that to go off, sand it back, and then we'll mix up some more hardener, some more filler, and we'll put next to no hardener in it, so we've really got a chance to move it around a bit more. So there's our first pass with the sander, and she's feeling nice and flat already. You see we've got pinholes here, and we haven't done anything up here yet. That's because I want to do that after. Like I said, I've got this absolutely flat, so we're going to use, probably just because the weather's so warm, we're going to use something called stopper on this, which is a very thin filler that you don't actually put any hardener in, and I can just skim it over the top, cover those pinholes in, because I don't think we need to put any more filler in for flatness. That feels nice and flat now. and we're not seeing any high or low spots. So if I did have an uneven thing, in an area, I'd have some of the old metal work poking through or something like that. I think we're pretty flat there, and that was done just by keeping the sander nice and flat with the hard pad on it. If you used a soft pad, it could curl over the edge and start burning through here and doing funny things. With the hard pad, you can just stay flat all the way through. By that, what I mean is there's no sponge behind the actual sandpaper. It's totally firm finish, so it would go nice and flat on there. So as you can see there, while I've been waiting for the fillers to dry out over there, I've been tackling the wheels. If you remember, 4 of the wheels, or actually 5 of the wheels spokes, someone had hand brushed them quite nastily. So what we're doing here is, that scraping was there before, that's not me by the way, I will touch that in afterwards. I'm sanding the face of them back to bare metal, and I'm going to go down in grade. I'm starting at 180 until I've got a really good metallic shine on it, and then we will re-lacquer them and it will look like the machine faced finish on there. I was going to leave it, but I had the time and I thought, let's see if we can't tackle it. There's some bits here that need re-lacquering as well at the same time, just to sort of tidy it up a little bit. Again, it won't be absolutely perfect. The job is to have it go away and have it machined, but is someone to pay the extra money for having that done versus doing what I'm doing here? I don't think so. And to be honest, at a glance, it's going to look the same as the rest of them. Right, I've gone to a 240 on this, but unfortunately I've run out of more sanding paper in lower grade, so we're going to have to go old school and do it by hand. So I've got some 600s, some 400s, some 800 here. I'll give it a go on there and see. It may well be that it shines up enough that I don't actually need to lacquer it, but I really should, so that otherwise people have to continuously clean it. In which case I might see how it looks after a 400. I want to go 800 max really before lacquering. Any more than 800, the lacquer probably wouldn't stay on it very well. 1200 at a chance, but we'll see. So there we have it, down to 1200 grit. Now by no means is it perfect, as I said it wouldn't be at the beginning, but it's sure a lot better than that hand painted silver. So we've got a bit of a feathered edge there where it's hitting the old lacquer. If I do lacquer it, then that may well blend in. I'm unsure as which way to go with it at the moment. That's certainly a lot better, like I say, than the hand painted silver. We've got just a, it looks worse on camera as always. Come back here a bit. So yeah, sometimes you have to need, as I said, need to know when to leave well enough alone. So I'll sleep on whether I want to lacquer that or not. I can't decide. So we're sanding down a stopper now, and we can see that we don't have any pinholes anymore. But what we have got is, we can see here, starting to sand here, this is now the edge we need to work on, where it dented in a little bit there. So we need to put some filler into these low spots here, and then we can start to shape the edge. You can see it's sharp edge at the moment, it needs to be soft edge. I just need to put a little bit in there. There we go guys, there's our repair. Those look like high spots. Seem okay. Might see a touch more in there, just a touch more in there maybe. Maybe put a skimmer stopper over the top of that. It feels a little flat. But again, we've got to make sure we don't go crazy on it. There's some pinholes there, it could do with a bit of stopper anyway, so I'll put a touch of stopper in there. This is okay now, I think. Just make sure we've got a nice smooth edge down there. And we're clean here, so yeah, a little bit of stopper up here, and then we'll see where we are. So we added some more filler up here. You can see we've had to go further out now, because those high spots would stay high unless we took the repair further out. If we just tried to dab it on those, they'd still stay high. We're trying to smooth the entire area out, so we're taking more, put more filler in there. And now we don't want to see those points break through now again. So that's, we know that it's all level here because those aren't pointing through anymore. So we need to re-establish the line here on the swage line, and then we should be good to go with a little bit of minor fettling by hand. We should be good to go and start putting some filler primer on. I find the easiest way to do this is to take a bit of card or something, just measure the distance between the 2 points and make sure it's the same all the way along, and draw it in with a marker pen, and then I can just make sure that at the moment my line folds over just slightly touch higher than that, just a few mil above, and it wavers slightly here, so we're just going to fettle that by hand a little bit. So put our first dust coat of filler primer on. We've wet the floor down to try and limit the amount of dust coming in. It's a nice day to do it outside, there's not a lot of wind and the sun's really strong, so it should dry pretty quickly. Obviously until you put colour on, you're not going to know for sure how good it is, because the filler primer doesn't have as much of a shine, but we're looking okay. Obviously if someone who knows I've done this comes and starts looking at it in massive detail, then they're going to spot things, but for, you know, anybody else, it's not really going to be visible at all. Right, we've done 3 coats of filler primer now, and it's looking okay. Caught a little bit of crud in it just there, but we're going to be sanding this back before we paint, which is why I kept the masking here. I didn't want to get filler primer too far out, so we'll take this masking off now and we'll sand this area down, and then we'll key the rest of it. I want to blend over here before we get to the badges and the lights. I want to blend over here before we get to the indicator and the badges, because I don't want to have to mask them off, but we'll let it sit for a while, let it go off. There's a little bit of smoothing out I want to do along here, just give it a bit more of a rounded edge, but other than that it's looking alright. So sanded back the filler primer now, and we're all set to start putting colour on, but we need to mask up first obviously. So this has all been smoothed out, you can see it's gone further back from where it was now that it's been sanded back a bit. All this has been keyed up. Now I think what we're going to try and do is work off this swage line here for our blend. So if I can double back the tape off there, try and keep the colour down to here. It might be tough depending on how good the colour is, because obviously I want to sort of feather it out, and then take lacquer to here would be the ideal. So initially try and keep the colour down here if we can. Right, I've moved the car back inside. First light coat on, just letting that go off, make sure there aren't any reactions, anything like that before we start. Is my camera dark again? Before we start going too much further with it. Colour matches initially looking pretty good. Famous last words, but we'll see. Well, that's our colour on. I think that's enough. There's things I think I can see that I could improve, but I'm gonna have to call it a day now really. Again, if you know what you're looking for, you're always going to find something. You've got to give it the sort of normal look, pass, and be happy with it. Right, 2 coats of lacquer in. Third coat, we're going to go for the fade out thinner. I'm just going to warm the can up a bit so the nice last coat is a nice flow coat, nice and flat, so I don't have to do too much polishing afterwards. So a reminder, fade out thinner is the stuff that blends the lacquers together and prevents there from being scarring. So if you've ever lacquered a car, tried to do it to a line and then sanded it afterwards and ended up with a bit of a scar, this is what you want to be using. Just quickly dust this on afterwards. So yeah, I mean, again, from normal looking, it's looking good. Like I say, you can always pick apart your own work and say you could do a little bit better here and a little bit better there, but I think we're going to be good. I think we're going to be good. Unless there's any last minute reactions or anything. Normally I would just say lacquer the whole wing and save yourself the bother of having to blend anything at all, but like I said, I don't want to start taking off the badge and the indicator, and with some success Davey's shown me how to blend up to lines quite tightly, so with some success we'll see how we get on this time. Just while we're on the subject of painting, a lot of you have been asking me why I don't do so much rattle canning anymore. Well, obviously volume of cars I deal with now is one thing. We used to do 3 or 4, 5 in a month, so I did all the work myself, but now we're getting up into the 20s, I can't. Secondly, this would take me best part of a day to get this, and I still think Davey would have got a better finish, and he probably would have only, for a corner like that, maybe 100 quid. He probably would have done another car while he was here, which means I could have been doing something else, like I could have been getting on with cleaning up the Astra, getting on with doing the wheels on the Skoda. So it's not, you know, it's not as easy to say as, well, you can do it yourself and save the money. sometimes I'd have been better off cracking on with something else. But on this car, we had the right colour paint. Margins won't be massive in it anyway. Davey probably won't be here for a little while. He's got loads on as always. So made sense just to crack on and do it. And fingers crossed we can get a decent finish. So paint was left overnight. Just hit it with some 360 Varcella and a medium cutting pad. Nothing too crazy. Hit the blend line up here. That's where I blended, isn't it? And down here. So these are where I painted to. And as you can see, you cannot see the blend. The colour goes into the colour from the original well there. Bumper to bumper, it's darker here. Again, the camera makes it look worse. But yeah, we've got a good shape on there. You can't see any unevenness at all in that or any bulging. So we sorted that out nicely. And we've got, this is just run over with the polisher, so it doesn't look like I'm going to have to flat it back because I think the shine is quite good enough. So yeah, sorted. Yeah, it looks better from some angles in terms of the colour match, but again, with this wing over here isn't the best colour match either, is it? As I said, going panel to panel, that was always the risk, but I don't think it's unacceptable on a vehicle of this age, and it's still, obviously because I didn't go up here, we've still got a good colour match there. So yeah, I'm happy, as happy as I ever am with paint with that. So now we need to go through the whole car needs a good mop down, to be honest. This has got quite a lot of scratches on here. Got some scratches along the side here, presumably from when that wing was done. Caught a little bit, but only light stuff that should polish out. So we just need to go over and polish the whole car up now. Got to get this up for sale today. Thursday is a good day to get cars up for sale, so let's get cracking. Right, that's the Nissan Note all ready for its photo shoot. People often ask me, what do you use to clean the cars? Well, let me show you how much. We've got the Hoover, we've got the wet vac, we've got the thinners to take off where people have ham-fistedly touched stuff up. We've got the G101 for fabrics, plastics. Then we've got the plastic shine. Then we've got the detail wax. Then we've got the compound for buffing and polishing. We've got the tyre shine and plastic shine for stuff that isn't inside the car. We've got the finer compounds. We've got the tar remover, which is in a triple wax pot at the moment to get tar off of. We've got the glass cleaner. We've got the black polish for the wheels. And then we've got the wax to give it a final polish with that. So there's your answer, guys. What do I use to clean the cars? About 1 million different products. So inside the engine bay is all detailed up now. I haven't put any high shine on it. This is more of a matte shine on the engine bay. All come out nice. That was good. Interior, obviously the exterior has been polished and waxed. Polished and waxed the wheels as well to get the black, make sure the black contrasted against the silver as much as possible. Inside, it's had a hoover out. It's had all the door shuts done. It's had all the fabrics cleaned. The bases have been wet cleaned because they had some staining on them. That repair, I'm just two minds about that repair. But yeah, all the seats clean, all the plastics have been cleaned. Obviously, like I said, the hoover's been run through it as well. All the door shuts have been done. I mean, this is a car that came in clean as well. It still requires a lot of work to get it to what I'd call retail standard. Even down to things like polishing up the number plates to make sure they're nice and bright and not dulled like they were when it came in. But after all of that, we have possibly one of the best conditioned cars of this age there is kicking about, and with daft low miles and a full service history. So for around 5k, I'm not sure there's much you can buy out there with 32,000 miles, 2012 in this kind of condition. That really does look darker in the camera than it does in real life. Yeah, but yeah, there are still a few minor blemishes on it, but 5k doesn't buy you an awful lot in the current market. So let's get her out, let's get her photographed, let's do a walk around video and see what the market determines she's worth.